Hey everybody, I'm Haven the Hare, and welcome to just a random video at this point. We didn't play Horde of the Dragon Queen this week because it's the holidays, as you can kind of tell from the stockings hung behind me. Welcome to my mantle of knowledge. I don't have a fireplace, so this is where we hang our stockings, in front of the bookcases. We didn't get a chance to play, well, we didn't just play Horde of the Dragon, but we did play a one-off that was actually put on by one of the players from one of my previous games, and co-DM'd by my daughter, and they put together a wonderful little Yule Miss polymorph heist with Santa Claus, with Saint Nick, and it was a lot of fun. I'm gonna let them tell that story. I will say that it was really cool to actually get to be a player for once. And as getting back into D&D in the last couple of years, I've only really had a chance to play twice as a player. Don't get me wrong, I love being a DM, but it is nice to get on the other side of the screen every once in a while and interact in somebody else's world. And so to have my daughter and then her friend and our other friend, pseudo-adopted daughter, shall we say at this point, who'd come back from Scotland and was visiting to put together this one-off for us to play. It was a lot of fun. We ended up having another player who hasn't played because she's on break right now, come back from my other campaign as well. And then we had my wife and the player who plays Lutao come in and actually play. So it was kind of a mix of both groups again. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to play. Being able to play a bard, again, I was requested. I actually was thinking of going completely different, but when your kid comes to you and says, I want you to play my campaign, Dad, and I want you to play a bard, you don't say no. You roll up a bard and you play yourself in a D&D campaign. So it was a lot of fun. It was great fun fighting off a giant polymorphed bed dragon at the end that's, its breath weapon was Splinter Storm. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to both of them for putting that on. If they would like to actually put together a video about that, I'd be more than happy to post it for you guys, but I'll leave that up to them because it was their story. And I was not DMing, so I didn't take notes. I took notes of like what I was doing, but I didn't like record the thing and do my usual DM stuff. So unfortunately, I'm kind of going off the cuff here. However, it did make me actually think about some things, and I'm actually going to share a story from my past, which I've been hinting that I would do on this channel. As I said before, I grew up playing D&D with my parents and their friends. And so we had a Christmas years ago, and this is almost 30 years ago now for me, that it was myself and some of my family friends / brothers were all getting up Christmas morning and being three young boys. And at this point, I want to say we were like 8, 9, and like 6. And Christmas morning, of course, we get up really early and, no parent wants to have woken up that early at an ungodly hour, but we're up, and in walks one of their dad, sits down with us, and brings in a pile of second edition D&D books and a bunch of dice, and he sits down on the floor and says, we're going to crawl a dungeon. And we did. I don't remember what time we got up. I do remember it was still dark outside, but that was his response. So that all the other adults in the house in this big, pseudo-friendly family gathering that we're having for Christmas could sleep in, he grabbed Dungeons & Dragons and dropped it in on us. And we rolled up characters, and I remember we did a dungeon crawl, and I think we fought a dragon. And by all means, if anybody's watching this that remembers this better than I do, I will say Mr. Mike at this point, if you remember what you actually had us do that night, that morning, by all means comment, because I don't. But I do remember this. I remember that it was a hell of a lot of fun, and I remember that we enjoyed it, and have an adult sitting down on the floor in our bedroom for 2 to 3 hours on a Christmas morning and play Dungeons & Dragons out of nowhere meant a lot to me. And I remember that's one of the things I remember of, that Dungeons & Dragons can be fun, and it can be just out of a whim. I mean, there was no planning. We just rolled up some characters and went to town delving into a dungeon. And I don't remember any of the details, but I do remember enjoying myself and enjoying the time with my pseudo brothers, and that even though what we were doing was giving everybody else time to sleep in on a Christmas morning, we had a blast. My brothers and I remember talking about those times and the fact that meant a lot to us, and we remember those times. Even if we don't remember D&D, we remember spending time with an adult who wanted to spend time with us playing a game. And so now here I am, as a father myself with a teenage daughter who I'm playing D&D with. I hope that she looks back. I hope she looks back in the future when she's possibly playing Dungeons & Dragons or any other role-playing game with her kids, Or even her aunts and nephews and aunts and nephews. That sounds right. If she's the aunt playing with her nephews and nieces, or even her friends' kids, I hope she can see how she felt and remember how she felt, even if she doesn't remember the adventures exactly. That she remembers having a good time and wants to share that same good time with her family and friends. So I guess that's the takeaway. As somebody who's now looking back as a kid who played Dungeons and Dragons with my family, grew up playing games with my family and then with my own friends, that it meant a lot. And there was those moments that all I remember is the joy. I remember the happiness. I'm telling you, go play with your kids. I know that Dungeons & Dragons itself gets a bad rep sometimes for being bloody and gory, but it's as bloody and gory as, and it's whatever you make it. I don't remember exactly how we played Dungeons & Dragons back in the day, but I remember it wasn't necessarily all blood and gore, and we went in detail about how we knocked people out. In fact, maybe we never even said they died. They just were out, right? So it was like a game of tag, or it was like Pokemon, saying that the Pokemon fainted, right? So you can make Dungeons & Dragons as gory or as non-gory as you want. It's your game. Make it yours. But there are plenty of other alternatives. Play the role-playing games. I know people have tried to make more kid-friendly ones, but really, it says it in the first paragraph of the Dungeon Master's Guide that this is your game. Take the rules and run with it and change anything that you want. You don't want death in your game? Don't have death. But play games. Play games with your kids. Play role-playing games with your kids. It'll help them out. It'll give them good times that they're going to remember with you. It's going to give them that basis of problem solving and critical thinking skills and socialization, and give them a chance to explore things in a kind of controlled setting that they may not be able to explore in their normal life. And so, yeah, it being the holidays, I remembered that specific moment of playing D&D as a way to let everybody else sleep in. So thank you, Mr. Mike, for sitting down and playing Dungeons & Dragons with us as kids and really helping us grow and find a hobby that eventually I know that I still play. I think my brothers occasionally played on and off. We're fortunately still spread out a little bit, though we are back in Michigan again, but I wouldn't mind actually trying to get them together and do something, and I probably will. You know what? I'm going to say right now in this video that I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and get a hold of them, and if I get a chance to have them come in and play a game with us again, we'll have to find a way to get away from all of our kids, but maybe we'll have all the kids play. Oh no, one of them has really young kids. That's not going to happen. So there you go. There's a glimpse into the past of somebody who played Dungeons & Dragons when I was a child. 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons. Ooh. I still have a bunch of those books. I still have my deities and demigods. Thank you again for watching. If you have any comments or questions, or share your stories of you playing games with your kids, or if you were so lucky as to have parents or friends of your parents who played role-playing games, Dungeons & Dragons, or any of them with you, feel free to share your stories too in the comments below. I love reading about that, or shoot me a message about them. And I love talking to people, especially who've had these great, wonderful experiences with Dungeons & Dragons or with other role-playing games. Until then, I've been Haven the Hare, and may you make all of life saving.